Good morning, guys. We are going to return to our book, The Loser, and today we're going to look at chapters 2 through 4, and our big focus question is what type of person is Zinkoff? Remember, Zinkoff is our main character who we just met in the first chapter. We don't know much about him yet, but we're definitely going to find out a lot more about him in these 3 chapters that we're going to look at today. So let's dive right in. We do have a word to watch today. The word to watch is giddy. That's going to show up in chapter 2 pretty quickly. So make sure you're paying attention and maybe you can figure out what giddy means. And giddy is a character trait word. So chapter 2 is called The Bright Wide World. He is one of the new litter of boys tossed up by this brick and hoagie town 10 miles by trolley from a city of 1 million. For the first several years, they have been home babies, Zinkoff and the others, fenced in by walls and backyard chain link, and mostly by the sound of mother's voice. I can kind of connect to that. You are kind of a home baby until you're about 3 or 4, and then you start going to preschool. Then comes the day when they stand alone on their front steps, blinking and warming in the sun like pups of a new creation. At first, Zinkoff shades his eyes. Then he lowers his hand. He squints into the sun, tries to outstare the sun, turns away, thrilled and laughing. He reaches back to touch the door. It is something he will never do again. In his ears echo the 1,000 warnings of his mother. Don't cross the street. There are no other constraints. Not a fence in sight, no grown-up hand to hold. Nothing but a bright, wide world in front of him. He lands on the sidewalk with both feet and takes off. Heedless of all but the wind in his ears, he runs. He cannot believe how fast he is running. He cannot believe how free he is. Giddy with freedom and speech, he runs to the end of the block, turns right, and runs on. Yep, there it is. There's our word giddy. Giddy with freedom and speed. So if I'm trying to figure out what that word means, I can look at Zinkoff's actions and maybe some feeling words that showed up in a couple sentences before. And I don't know if you remember, but we have some actions like Zinkoff is thrilled, he's laughing, he can't believe how fast he's running, and he's running with lots and lots of speed. So I don't know about you guys, but I think maybe a good synonym for giddy is really happy, excited, and those actions we saw kind of back up that character trait of giddy. His legs are going fast. He thinks that if he can go any faster, he might begin to fly. A white car is coming from behind. He races the car. He is surprised that it passes him. Surprised but not unhappy. He is too free to be unhappy. He waves at the white car. He stops and looks for someone to laugh with and celebrate with. He stomps up and down on the sidewalk as if it's a puzzle. As if it's a puddle. He looks for his house. It is out of sight. He screams into the never-blinking sun. Yahoo! He runs some more, turns right again, stops again. It occurs to him that if he keeps turning right, he can run forever. Yahoo! So, we talked about earlier this week when we're trying to think of a character trait for a character and answering that question, what kind of person is Zinkoff? Something that we can look at are the character's actions, what they do. There we go. The character's words, so what they say. And also the character's thoughts, what they think or feel. So kind of that general rule of looking what a character does, says, and thinks is going to back up some character trait ideas that you might have. So one thing I was thinking is in this chapter, Zinkoff is a giddy person. Zinkoff is a giddy person. And remember, we said giddy means excited, happy, thrilled. And so if I have a chart here, and this is similar to the chart you saw earlier this week, and very similar to the chart that you are going to fill out for your homework assignment today. I have my character name here, Zinkoff, a space for clues for me to write what Zinkoff does, says, or thinks, so his actions, thoughts, and words. And then I have the character trait word giddy. You'll see that I have giddy here twice. That means I need to come up with 2 pieces of evidence to back up that character trait giddy. So I'm going to give you a moment to just think, what are some things that Zinkoff did, said, or thought that back up that character trait word giddy? All right, so I'll show you 2 that I found. One is he feels thrilled and laughs. So that sentence about him laughing as soon as he gets outside. Here's another one I found. He runs while feeling free. So for both of those, it's kind of a 2-for-1 special. It's a feeling and an action that was kind of in the same sentence, so it works kind of perfectly for evidence. There are a couple of more, so I want you to take a moment. Did Zinkoff say or yell anything that we can use to support that idea that he is giddy or excited? It happened at the end of the chapter. He screamed it twice. If you said that he screamed Yahoo, you're exactly right. So that is a good example of character words that can back up a character trait. Some of you might be thinking of another action. Actions are always great to back up character trait ideas. We do have Zinkoff jumping into puddles at the end of the chapter as well. So as you can see between all these, we actually have 4 pieces of evidence to back up the character trait giddy just for chapter 2. So what I want you to do is, as we read chapters 3 and 4, and we're going to read them straight through, I do have a new question for you. How is Zinkoff showing that he is different in these next 2 chapters? Now, when I say different, I mean, how is he different from other kids? That character trait different often means unique or special or someone who really stands out from the crowd. So keep that in mind as we read the next 2 chapters. How is Zinkoff different? Unique, special, how does he stand out? Because on your homework assignment today, just like this chart, it'll say Zinkoff, but it'll have the word different twice. And your job will be to find 2 pieces of evidence that you'll type in. You'll see that there are purple letters that say edit here, and you can click on them and type in an action, something that Zinkoff said, words, or thoughts from Zinkoff. You just need 2 of them, so 2 sentences is all you'll need for today's work. So pay very close attention. How is Zinkoff, the character trait, different in these next 2 chapters? This chapter is called Win. Sooner or later, the let-loose sidewalk pups will cross the street. Running, they will run into each other. And sooner or later, as surely as noses drip downward, it will no longer be enough to merely run. They must run against something, against each other. It is their instinct. Let's race, one will shout, and they race. From trash can to corner, from stop sign to mail truck. I bet a lot of you can connect to that and have raced each other before outside. I see you doing it during recess all the time. Let's race, one will shout, and they race. Their mothers holler at them for running in the streets, so they go to the alleys. They take over the alleys, make the alleys their own streets. They race. They race in July, and they race in January. They race in the rain, and they race in the snow. Although they race side by side, they are actually racing away from each other, sifting themselves apart. I am fast, you are slow. I win, you lose. They forget never to remember again that they are pups from the same litter. And they discover something. They like winning, more than losing. They love winning. They love winning so much that they find new ways to do it. Who can hit the telephone pole with one stone? Who can eat the most cupcakes? Who can go to bed the latest? Who can weigh the most? Who can burp the loudest? Who can grow the tallest? Who is first, first, first? Who? Burping, growing, throwing, running, everything is a race. There are winners everywhere. I win, I win, I win. The sidewalks, the backyards, the alleyways, the playgrounds, winners, winners. Except for Zinkoff. Zinkoff never wins. But Zinkoff doesn't notice. Neither do the other pups. Not yet. So I'm going to read that last part again. Except for Zinkoff. Zinkoff never wins, but Zinkoff doesn't notice. I don't know, it sounds to me like other kids seem to care and notice about winning. Zinkoff does not. So maybe you found one thing that is different about Zinkoff that you can add to your chart from chapter 3. Definitely pay attention to this chapter. Now we're going to have Zinkoff in school for the first time, and you're definitely going to find some actions and words that make him stand out and show that he's different. Zinkoff's first day. Zinkoff gets in trouble his first day of school. In fact, before he even gets to school, he's in trouble with his mother. Like the other neighborhood mothers of first grade children, Mrs. Zinkoff intends to walk her son to school. First day is a big day, and mothers know how scary it can be to a 6-year-old. Zinkoff stands at the front window, looking at all the kids walking to school. It reminds him of a parade. His mother is upstairs getting dressed. She calls down, "Donald, you wait." Her voice is firm, for she knows how much her son hates to wait. Wait, that's interesting. She just said, "Donald, you wait." And all in the other chapters, they said his name was Zinkoff. Is that his last name? Is that a nickname? Weird. Let's read on. By the time she comes downstairs, he's gone. She yanks open the door. People are streaming by. Mothers hold the hands of younger kids while 4th and 5th graders yell and run and rule the sidewalks. Mrs. Zinkoff looks up the street. In the distance, she sees the long neck of a giraffe poking above the crowd, hurrying along with the others. It's him. It must be him. He loves his giraffe hat. His dad bought it for him at the zoo. If she has told him once, she has told him 50 times, do not wear it to school. The school is only 3 blocks away. He will be there before she can catch him. With a sigh of surrender, she goes back into the house. The first grade teacher stands at the doorway as her new pupils arrive. Good morning, welcome to school. When she sees the face of a giraffe go by, she nearly swallows her greeting. She watches the giraffe and the boy under it march straight to a front row desk and take a seat. Can you imagine if a kid walked in with a super tall giraffe hat the first day of school and just sat down like nothing was weird about it? That's Zinkoff. When the bell rings, the teacher, Mrs. Meeks, shuts the door and stands before the desk of the unusually hatted student. The other students are openly giggling. She wonders if this boy is going to be a problem. This is Miss Meeks' year to retire, and the last thing she needs is a troublesome first grader. That's quite a hat you have there, she says. It is, in fact, remarkably lifelike. The boy pops to his feet. He beams. It's a giraffe. So I see. But I'm afraid you'll have to take it off now. We don't wear hats in the classroom. Okay, he says cheerfully. He takes off the hat. You may be seated. Okay. He seems agreeable enough. Perhaps he will not be troublesome after all. Now she has to tell him that he cannot keep the hat with him. She hopes he won't break out bawling. First graders can be so unpredictable. You never know what might set them off. She tells him. She keeps an eye on his lower lip to see if it will quiver. It does not. Instead, he pops to his feet again and brightly chirps, "Yes, ma'am," and hands the hat to her. "Yes, ma'am. Where did that come from?" She smiles and whispers, "Thank you. Down now." He whispers back, "Yes, ma'am." 26 heads turn to follow her as she carries the 3-foot hat to the cubby holes at the back of the room. She labels the cubbies the days before, and now she suddenly realizes she doesn't know which one belongs to the boy. She turns. "What's your name, young man?" He jumps to attention and belts at full voice, "Zinkoff." She has to turn her face to keep from laughing out loud. In all her 30 years of teaching, she has never known a student to announce himself or herself in such a manner. So he just stands up, "Zinkoff." Can you imagine a little first grader doing that? She turns back to him and gives a slight bow, which somehow seems to be called for. "Thank you. And no need to shout, Mr. Zinkoff. Do you have a first name?" The class is a twitter. "Donald," he says. "Thank you, Donald, and you may keep your seat. There is no need to rise when you speak." "Yes, ma'am." The cubbies, as the classroom seating soon will be, are in alphabetical order. She goes straight to the last cubby hole and inserts the giraffe. The space is not deep enough to hold it all. It looks as if a baby giraffe is napping in there. The thought comes to her that Donald Zinkoff, in more ways than cubby holes, will always be easy to find. So, if you need to watch the second half of this video again and listen to chapters 3 and 4, you may. But attached to this assignment is a chart that looks similar to this. Instead of the word giddy, it has the word different. And your job today is to put in 2 pieces of evidence that prove that Donald Zinkoff is a very different child. Good luck, take your time, and I'll see you again soon.